Alright, General Electric Locomotive, Dash 7 Series, Part 13, Testing Information. This section covers the electrical components used with the board of the locomotive. The information includes the drawing, symbol, the designation shown with the electrical schematic diagram, pictorial view of the component, brief description of the compartment, the intent of the section to provide overall listing of the electrical components to serve as a definite and the reference of the maintainer with further aid during the troubleshooting and testing. Electrical components. Material of the table 13.1 has been compiled with include the electrical combination that you with the transportation equipment in order to use the convenient type of the specific type of the coverage desired for the many non-applicable type that may have been omitted with the subject matter, therefore protect the only electrical components whose symbols appear with the circuit diagram and schematics. Whenever possible, the electrical components have been presented in alphabetical order, however the symbols have similar and converse meanings to be grouped together for conveniency. Alright, your alternator shows the terminal 1, terminal 2, terminal 3, traction alternator TA, wheel winding 1 and 2. There's your pictorial, your typical designation TA, the description and use of the traction alternator is a three-phase AC generator that provides electrical propulsion, power for locomotive output, rectifier with the use of power to DC traction motor gear of the wheels. This is a amplifier operational. Show the triangle and two long sticks, one short leg from the one of the edge corners. It shows the pictorial of the amplifier operational OA1, AOA2, 1 IC1, IC2. Integrated circuit module which can be used for the voltage amplifier, current amplifier, ramp generator, comparative voltage detector, oscillator. Oscillator generator alternator shows the field winding, shunt field, and field 1 and 2. A1 and A2, auxiliary generator A1 is the circle starting field between A2 and A3. Alright, your symbols, typical designation AGEX, the both units of the DC generator mechanically connected to traction alternator or generator exciter supplies more alternator or generator excitation. Auxiliary generator is used for battery charging and lighting. Your axle alternator, or is known as the ALT number 1, show the axle alternator, the proper tactical designation is AA or for axle alternator, alternator, ALT. These alternators are single-phase AC generators driven by the locomotive. The axle of the outputs are used to direct wheel slip and slides to initiate corrective action. Alright, this is the battery showing with the large and short dashes in between the positive and negative. The pictorial and the typical battery and designation is in description U. The series connects itself to provide with DC power to locomotive circuits. You have which looks like a bell. A bell has no typical designation. Description: use a high intensity electrical bell and frequently used with the locomotive gap to signal wheel slip condition provided with a warning, no battery charge. Your capacitors, fixed non-polarized, shows the parallel dashes in between a line. And your fixed polarized, one parallel dash, one convex and concave. Alright, these are your pictorials and your designation C1, C2, C3 for capacitors, etc. So the capacitors perform the following circuit functions. 1. Block the flow of the DC, permits the AC to flow through the circuits. 2. Bypass allows the AC to take an easy path around the circuit, which for the AC is undesirable. 3. Filter smooth out ripple with the power supplies. And 4. Feedback applied with the circuit with the output with into the input with the phase to strengthen to regenerate the signal and out phase to weaken the signal. Your circuit breaker and instant trip is a convex break between two dotted holes that are empty. Your pictorial and the thermal trip is a box dashed with a one square tube and a convex instant trip. Show the thermal trip with a resistor onto it and a box dasher box. Or your typical designation for the instant trip is BCB, CCB, CSB, HLB, RCB, etc. The description and use: the correct device which opens the circuit during the current overload condition that operates with electromagnetic principle, whereby excessive current generates excessive electromagnetic force, which in turn trips the breaker. The breaker responds very quickly to the current overload conditions that may be reset manually with the following of the trip. Thermal trip shown designations B, CB, CCB, CSB, HLB, RCB, etc. Protect device which open the circuit during the current overload condition. The operating thermal overload principle, whereby excessive current generates the excessive heat, which in turn trips the breaker. The breaker has delayed response to the current overload condition. Since it requires time to heat the trip mechanism, it must be reset manually following a trip. Are your diodes? The only thing it has to say in the description, as most diodes are polarity sensitive, correct polarity must be considered when using a diode in an electrical circuit. With the application of the voltage with the polarity reverse may damage the diode. Note the polarity of the diode may be identified by the band around its cathode or a diode symbol or color-coded leads. Alright, your diodes continue. Current regulator shows the circle with a pothead and a line dash. Shows the pictorial, the typical designation, CLD1, CLD2, D1, D2 diodes. Semiconductor device with a conductor with a limited amount of the current in one direction blocks the current from the opposite direction. U with the constant current is required for changing the voltage. Alright, a light emitting LED shows a pothead in the middle of the circle with an angle with an arrow, filled arrow onto the left off the pictorial. Lighting emitting the LED 1, LED 2. Light emitting diodes produce a dual glow when they pass the current. LEDs are also popular, sensitive, and will not illuminate in their voltage polarity is reversed. There, use the control card to indicate the presence of the supply voltage or 15 plus to voltage or negative 15 volts, etc. Caution: LEDs require a specific amount of the current voltage to function properly with the application voltage directly. The LED with a current limiting resistor will burn out. Alright, a single pothead with a line drawn on it was signals a rectifier. The pictorial D1, D2, and RD2. RD2 stands for rectifier. A single semiconductor device which conducts current one direction, blocks current in the opposite direction. Uses half-wave rectification in AC. Alright, then you have a full-wave bridge, AC in and DC out with the spaced out in between the parallel connections, and rectifiers in between on each parallel of the bridge between AC and DC out. Your RT1, RT2, RB1, RB2 configuration diodes rectifiers both half circuit alternating current frequently packaged single unit with the 4 pins extended from the case, the pictorial. Alright, diodes continued. Silicone unilateral switches with a shot key. This shows a triangle fillet in the center of the circle. The typical designations SUS1, SUS2 stands for silicone unilateral switches, or Shockley. Or description: a semiconductor device with a block for the current flow with the forward direction until the specific voltage is reached the forward breakover voltage, then conduct the remains of the conduction until the current flow drops below minimum value, holding current this sheet with the gate with the circuitry to the SCR to prevent the SCR from triggering conducting due to noise. Alright, your suppressor and thioreactor metal oxide variations show the two pair of potheads stacked together with a Z in between it, the SDTH, and then the MOV is a square box with a Z through it. Show the pictorial, the designation SD1, SD2, THR1, THR2, MOV1, MOV2. Semiconductor device which conduct the current with a specific voltage to save the device non-polarity sensitive to retain the same characteristics regardless of the polarity applied as you would reduce the voltage spikes in an electrical circuit. Alright, your Zanier reference is one pothead with a Z on it. It shows the pictorial, the designation ZD1 or ZD2 for Zanier reference. The semiconductor device which conducts current through the specified reverse voltage C. The device normally operates with the positive voltage applied with the cathode. The voltage across the Zanier reference diode remains nearly constant over the current range if issued with the regulating voltage in electrical circuit. Alright, then you have your fuse, which is a squiggly line in between two open dotted. The fuse stands for FU1, FU2. Accessory protective device which opens the circuit occurring device during the current overload condition. A fuse containing the strip of low melting point metal which burns out of the open circuit during the current overload conditions. The fuse must be replaced after it burns open. Alright, your lamination lamps, illuminations are circles with either like a bulb in it. So you have your pictorial designation on the location left, right, front, etc. Incandescent lamps are using both illumination indication. Specific group lamps are protected with a circuit breaker. All right, your lamp indicator was a circle with a circle shows illumination: blue, red, green. BRG, A for amber, W for white, yellow for yellow, Y for yellow. Designated by lens in the color of the control panel. Your low voltage lamp is a circle with a square dropping resistor, gauge lights GL1, GL2, etc., GL3, etc. Lamp power is provided by the locomotive of the battery at 75 volts on DC. The low voltage gauge the lights up using dropping resistor each of the circuit that produces the bus voltage 75 volts, the lamp voltage 6 volts. Alright, I have, alright. Inverted gauge, open triangle, open dot, open half circle with a square parallel circuit. Stands for inverted gate IC1, IC2 integrated circuit module. Performs the inverting function of the digital logical circuit. The signal module can normally contain multiple circuits. Alright, your normal gate is 2 lines like a plug, and then with IC1, IC2, etc. integrated module with the platforms and added gate reflect functions. Digital logical circuit signal mode module normally contains multiple circuits. Alright, your load ammeter is a square with two circuits going to a circle or a motor, and then it's on a positive and a shunt. The pictorial shows the picture to the right, and then the designations LA1, LA2, LS1, LS2, LM1, LM2, etc. Typical ammeter, load ammeter with a measure of the DC armature current with a traction motor. Armature shunt, low resistance, carries heavy load current. Only a small current actually passes through the ammeter. The shunt must be matched for the ammeter for the correct meter calibration. Alright, your ammeter is a circle with an A in it. This stands for A1, A2, MA1 designation. Ammeter measures the current in an electrical circuit. The voltmeter is a V with a circle in it. V1, V2 stand for the volt measure difference of the potential between the differential points of the electrical circuit. Alright, your motor, your traction motor, shows the field 1, F1, F field, F1, F1, and A1, AA1, traction motor 1. Typical designation TM1, TM2 stands for motor traction, etc. Series 1 DC traction mechanically connected each side of the drive wheel to receive electrical power from the traction alternator generator catenary. During transition, motor groups are connected to the series parallel, full parallel under the full reduced field conditions. During the dynamic braking, the traction motor function of the DC generator is applied with the output power with the dynamic braking grid to provide reversal of torque of the slow down locomotive. Alright, your inducer filters is a humpback current with 3 dashes in the line of it. Stands for a reactor. Show the picture of the inductor filter choke with L1, L2, L3, X1, X1, X2, X3 smooth out ripple diesel signal power circuit. Alright, current measuring with a line through the current. CMR, CMR2, CMR X1, CMR X2, ACCR, alternating current control rectifier. Current measuring rectifier is a type of suitable reactor utilizing magnet flux high current DC conductor to change the current flow of the AC winding. AC winding provides a signal proportional current flow for the DC conductor. Provides advantage over the current measuring reactor is an ability to provide voltage isolation between the AC signal winding and the high voltage DC conductor. Alright, your reactor. Reactor's continuous saturatable. Shows the pictorial circle with 5 lines through it. Alright, you see a three signal points going through in the middle of 2 different current reactions in a square loop. Typical designation PWM, VCR, and VCBR. Suitable reactors are similar transformer consist of the magnetizable core, 2 or more windings of small current, 1 winding that can be magnetized with the core completely saturated. In addition, will increase the current produced, no increase the magnetic flux. Small current with a signal SIG DC windings produce cumulative effect, increasing decreased current. The AC winding control purpose of the black dots and the small current signal windings show proper DC polarity for the maximum turn on effect. Alright, relay or contact. Single pole shows the is a doorway left open, no contact coil, figured zigzag line. Alright, your identifications are W's, S, O, P, R, P, C, R, F, F, P, R, relays, electrical magnetic device containing electromagnetic coil which actuates contacts current pass through it. The relay contacts control the other circuit function, switching, closing, and opening. Alright, the multiple pole shows the zigzag coil, also two different NO and NC connections, like 3 plug-in relay socket numbers. Relay contacts may be normally NO, normally closed, normally open, normally closed, NO, and normally NC. With a coil with the energized schematic diagram show all the relays with the energized push-in. Coil circuit open socket numbers, plug-in relays identified with the number of dot connection in the coils of each contact. Alright, you got your simple relay with its door left open. Pictorial contactor device function with similarity relay with the contacts capable of carrying more than current contactors utilize same drawing symbol of designation as relays. Contactor may contain interlocking connection that can be adjusted open and closed before the opening and closing of the power contact. Interlocking contacts also utilize the same drawing symbol of designation as relays. Contactor with a blowout has a zigzag with a relay on it. Show the cost and equipment can be damaged, destroyed. Interlocking contacts when properly adjusted. Check with the test lights or buzzers to verify the interlocking fingers are open and closed before opening and closing of associated main contacts. A contactor may also contain the series blowout coil assisting the arc suspension with the stable swing of the magnetic field with the opposing the magnetic field with the current contact current that causes the arc extend with the family extinguishing of the current contact open. Alright, your resistors. A square is equal to a fixed or common resistor. A black line is a power grid. Your resistors are R1, R2. Such resistors limit the amount of the current flow produce the voltage drop of electrical circuits. Alright, a square with two lines and attached to it means it's a resistor continued taper. Slider is a square with another rectangular pair perpendicular with it, right? Going back to one side of the line, connecting to one side of the line. Rheostat is a semicircle with the angle, kind of like a protractor, measuring the angle. Rheostat or a square looking for the center. All typical designations were R1, R2. The tape resistor provided one or more of the resistant divider connection for the function voltage dividers. The use of the fixed voltage dividers was required. Slide resistor variable resistors whose resistance charged with the slider reposition used the readjusting is seldom required. Rheostat variable resistors within the movable wiper whose those resistance change with the wiper reposition. They're used in place with the slide resistors when readjustment is more frequently required when they utilize an arrow symbol that indicates wiper movement with a clockwise rotation. Your pentameter is just like your rheostat, except for your there's the line is not on one side of the rheostat, and in the center is pushing outwards. You have P1 and P2 pentameters. Select with a voltage variable voltage movable wiper from the potential applied stationary terminals where adjustable voltage dividers are required. Utilize an arrow over the other symbol indicated wiper movement for clockwise rotation. Alright, your shunt is a board with is a square with two circles in it. The shunt 1 and shunt 2, etc. The device functions at a low volt value. Resistor shunt measures a large amount of current producing small voltage directly proportional to current flow. Shunt can be measured by the AC or DC currents. Alright, your thermistor with a circle with a zigzag line in it. It's typical designation R1, R2, R3. Variable resistor resistance change with temperature. With thermostat resistor may have negative temperature coefficients. Resistant decreased temperature increases, or positive temperature efficiency resistant increased temperature increases. Alright, your silicone controlled rectifier is a pothead with a line off of it. SCR1, SCR2, DS1, DS2, Q1, Q2. Semiconductor device current with the forward direction until the positive voltage pulse is applied with the gate on the terminal pole. The conduction remains conduction until the anode and cathode controlled flow drops of the minimum value. Holding current draining off the SCR signal controlled rectifier. Normally common communication signal control rectifier generally are used to control current in power circuits. Alright, switch. A single pole, single throw is a cross, doorway, open, throw switch. Typical designation S1, S2, S3. Mechanical devices contain manual operated contacts open and close for the community of various circuit situations. Single pull, double throw. It has two different line connections with relay maybe thrown in between and across. Double throw has two lines where both relays hit the both lines at the same time. A double pull, double throw is both double relays are in between switch between two different lines on relays off and on. A push button is a line with a rectifier button on between four. What looks like a push. It would be push button operated. All right, switches continued operated. You have a break in the temperature operated with a square block resistor on the relay door. Your typical designation S1, S2, S3, W2, W2, W1, T, W2. Mechanical device containing contacts operated temperature sensitive bimetal strips. Pressure operated. This is a button figured designation PS. Mechanical device contacting contacts by variation pressure, air, and oil, water. You have your COPs, mechanical device electrical contacts operated very small variation air pressure. A cam operated one shows the circle with a relay inside the middle of the camera operator utilizes the cam rotating shaft to open close switch contacts. Camshaft may be rotated manually. Switch handle mechanical pilot motor. Your transformers are bubble bumped current with PR1, PR2, PR1 SCC, three lines in the middle, stands for a pictorial of the transformer. Single winding T1, T2, T3 OST, multiple winding, three different currents with three more windings on the right side, left side, or right side or left side, than the left side or the right side. Alright, power transformers use the setup of the step-down alternating voltage on primary winding, setup of the transformer with a great number of the turns with the secondary winding on the primary winding, step-down transformer with a great number of the turns and primary winding with a secondary winding, all windings insulated from the magnetic core, vertical line, the magnetic flux, vertical core for the operatives below the saturation level. Your transistor is a top-hatted line going out is non-polarity, positive non-polarity. Q1, Q2, QT1, T2, F21, and semiconductor device operates the current amplifier switch amplify the electrical power transistor applies the positive, negative. Each type of that separate and drawing symbol for each of the identification transistors applied for the general switching amplifying applications. The transistor junction is a square transistor with the arrow pointed in towards the junction and of the block resistor and arrow pointed out, complementary positive type. Your designation Q1, Q2, T1, T1, G1, T2, UJ1, UJ2, semiconductor device trigger with which emitter voltage, special percentage amplified interbase voltage junctions available. The two types standard for complementary. Each type of the separate drawing symbol for the easy identification of unit junctions are utilized primarily oscillator timing circuits. Your valve magnetic solenoid. The solenoid is made by a zigzag. Show the pictorial, a typical designation ASMV, OSMV, ETV, RDV, or SDV. So, electromagnetic device which open and close the valves electrically to control flow of air and so while saying magnetic solenoid valves are usually energized by switches relays are shown in signal coil or schematic drawings. And then there's notes. And this was a reading of the testing information for the instruction G13. Section 13, Series 7 locomotive.